Good morning, everyone, and thank you all again for joining Child Care Aware of Minnesota for their culture webinar series, the Dakota Culture and History Session 2. Please join me in welcoming our two presenters again, Ariella and Vanessa.
Alrighty. Well, hami dakiapi ake Vanessa Githander makiapi Dakota yasnas nawi demie. Chanshiapi de matahan. Chanshiapi wakanja oyawa oti echtawaniye. Oyawe oi tancha hemachaye. Dakota oyate kin. Dakota iapi ki han. Turkiapi kde. Hetidi bidukcha. Pirameapi. Hello, everybody. I'm so excited to be back. Day 2. I know we did introductions yesterday, so I won't really get into it, but I always like to speak our language to have that time and space. So I will turn it over to Miss Ariella.
Samita Giapi, Ariella Leith, Ima Giapi, Dakota Ia, Ampewi Wakamia, Demie, Chanshayapi Wakanija, Oiwa Oti, Erdanwani, Tiata wa Unspewi Chakya Himachaye. So, hello, my relatives. My name is Ariella Leith. My Dakota name is Day Sun Spirits, and I work at Siwu as the home-based teacher.
Perfect. And today is Veterans Day, so we wanted to put up something to honor all veterans. And then we have this awesome memorial coming up at the National Museum of the American Indian, and that's to honor the American Indian veterans who have served in the service. And so this actually just got put up and they're unveiling it today. So I put the website right in the bottom left. If you click that, they have a live stream of the celebration of putting this up. And so you can go to DC. It's completely free, just like any one of their memorials they have. You can just walk right by it. It's right by the museum, National Museum of the American Indian. And an actually, I think he's from Oklahoma, the artist who created this memorial. And so it actually, you can't see me pointing. It's kind of funny. It starts on fire in the middle. And so that's that forever drum and that forever fire that's starting. So it's a really great art piece. There was over 120 submissions for this. And so if you go to that website, they'll tell you all about it. I'm just really excited. And a little fun fact about American Indian veterans is American Indians, Alaska Natives served in the armed forces at 5 times the national average. Native people have the highest per capita involvement of any population to serve in the U.S. military. They also have the highest concentration of women service members than any other group. So nearly 20% of American Indian, American Native service members were women, while 15.6% of all other service members were women. So that's pretty exciting why that concentration's there. During World War I, 3,000 to 6,000 American Indians enlisted and another 6,500 were drafted. About 2/3 served in the infantry, winning widespread praise for bravery and achievement, but the cost was high. About 5% of American Indian combat soldiers were killed compared to 1% of American forces overall. Back in the States, some 10,000 American Indian women joined the Red Cross, and this is again during World War I again, donating time, money, and clothing. And they also were a part of war bonds during World War I. So by the end in November 1918, they owned $25 million in war bonds. That's about $75 for every American Indian man, woman, and child. So we really made a big impact, and we had a place here, and we really serve the country. So I think today is a really good day to honor those. And I'm really excited, and I know Ariella's really excited about this day. You know, we have a lot of family that are in the forces. You know, my dad was in the Army, and you know, Ariella's dad served as well. So we wanted to make sure that we honored that today. So happy Veterans Day, everybody. Akichita ampetu washte happy. All right. Again, we have our Tiicheka outside of the school at the Lower Sioux, at our school Chanshayapi Wakanja Oyawa OT, Siwu for short. Just it's our Lower Sioux Early Head Start and Head Start. So we have weekly Tiek teachings with an interactive activity for all to learn together. So feel free to come visit, take pictures, and look inside. This week we have the Ocheti Shakoi and Star Knowledge teachings. Next week we're talking about the Women's Lodge teachings. And then the week after, Chanshapi and Land Recognition teachings and Directions and Chanhadeshka teachings will be the following week. And this is for Native American Heritage Month, which we are in as well for November. We will be putting this on our Facebook, so feel free to follow us at Lower Sioux Early Head Start and Head Start. And we'll have these teachings at a distance too, because I know folks can't always travel. Okie dokie. So this is the engagement portion of the time again. We're really excited to hear what you all want to learn, because this is why we're here. We're here for you all. So I'm going to, oops, nope, that's not the one. Next. What are some takeaways? Okay, there we go. So I'm going to full screen it. Ariella, can you see that?
I can see it.
Awesome. So then grab your phones. I know usually if you're at work, we say no phones. Well, you can grab your phone out now and you can text Vanessa, GOODT 024 to 37607. And then you can answer the question here. If you don't have a phone, but you have access to the internet, you can respond by going to pollev.com/Vanessa, GOODT 024. And then we really want to know, what is something you want to take away from this session? And it's Dakota Culture and History Session 2. So what is something, if you weren't here yesterday, you've always wanted to know about Dakota culture and history? And if you were here yesterday, what is something that you're really excited to learn for day 2? So Dakota Culture and History Session 2. And we will go over, if we discussed it yesterday, if you weren't here, that session will be recorded and put on YouTube. And so then anybody can see it at any time. So that's pretty exciting. We're really pumped about that. Alrighty. What is something you want to take away from Dakota Culture and History Session 2? So anything you want to learn about Dakota culture and history. We are excited to see. I know yesterday we had some really good responses. They wanted to know Dakota history they wanted to know history of colonization in Minnesota. They wanted to know the movement of Dakota in Minnesota. And then they wanted to know what's the difference for Sioux. So I've heard Sioux is not the actual name. What does it actually mean? Thank you for sharing how to support families and providers of perfect.
Yeah, we have a lot of really amazing resources that we will be sharing today.
Oh, we're so excited.
A lot of really good ones.
How is early childhood viewed in the Dakota culture? Oh, that one's great. Yes. We got these 3 so far. All right. This is called waiting time for teachers. Wait for a couple more and then we will get going. How can we be more inclusive and mindful of Dakota culture? I love that. Will this have a screenshot of resources or will they be available online? Yes, this will be recorded on YouTube, and then all of our resources we always put on our website, lscwu.com. So we will be uploading all of these. We could do it in a screenshot for sure, or we could just have it with the links. Mm-hmm. How to care for the youth to embrace their culture. Yes, that is so important. How we make them prideful and excited about who they are. Perfect. Okay. Shall we begin?
We shall.
All right. And then we have a really, we want to leave the last 15 to 20 minutes for you all for Q&A time. So use the chat portion of this go-to meeting and send your questions because Kalahena will be monitoring that and we'll do the Q&A session because again, we are here for you. So we'll have that time.
Yes.
Okay. Let us go, Ariella.
All right.
Bum, bum, bum. Can you see that?
Yes.
Okay. I always
So,
need to check.
so yesterday we talked about um, describing the movement pre and post colonization, the Cheti Shakonwi, explained the cultural foundations, and the Tiwahe and the Mitakiwe Owasi. We really talked about a lot of historical trauma and the story of Transhayapi. And so again, if you missed yesterday, these will be posted up. Definitely check them out. It was a lot of really good information yesterday. Today we're gonna switch gears and the next there. And today we will talk about to learn and engage in different and best practices and resources relating to Dakota culture and the history for all Minnesotans. So we're going to list current Dakota language and cultural revitalization movements, current Dakota language and culture resources, best practices relating to Dakota culture and history for early childhood, and of course Q&A time.
Perfect. And again, we are live from Chanshayapi. Where's Chanshayapi? Right here, where the circle is. And if this is a YouTube recording at this point in time, we were live from Chanshayapi. And then shout out to everybody from Chanshayapi watching this right now. So much love. Love. All right. We're just so excited for day 2. Let us get going. All right. Big thing is visibility. We wanted to touch on. I think for so long, Native American or just Dakota in general, there was a systematic approach and movement to not have us be seen, be heard, and to practice our ways of life and our culture. And we got into that with that historical trauma. So it was a very, what do I want to say? It was a very effective system because currently in the state of Minnesota, there are only 5 first language speakers left in the state, and that means their first language was Dakota. And so we are in a race to keep learning and revitalizing through the process of remember, reclaiming, and reconnecting, and recovering, as I heard it earlier, our language and our ways of life, because we know that that has our sense of belonging, our values, and that has the key to help us heal from historical trauma. And I've been able to attest to that. I love my language, and I always say it's a part of me, and without it, I'm not whole. And so the visibility piece is huge, because if folks keep thinking that we are the same people that are in the museums, like way back long ago, I should be wearing different clothing, or I don't look Native enough, I'm not doing this enough, and we get that a lot. And I'm just bringing it forth because it's not new to Native people. I think I was teaching a class that was a 4th grade class, and one kid like came up to me and was just like beep beep beep, like kind of like a metal detector, and was like, is that your real clothes, or are you just wearing these normal clothes for me? And then, do you live in a teepee? So there's a lot of stereotypes out there that go on, and that's because there's a lack of education, there's a lack of knowledge out there and understanding. And so we're really excited to share resources. With the effective system of trying to take our identity away and assimilate us and take our language away and things like that, we have been in a race to make resources. We've been in a race to speak our language. We've been in all of these races, and so that's a lot of hats being worn. And so with that, we have so many people coming together for the Ocheti Shakoi, trying to revitalize who we are. So we are really pumped for today to explain and share some of those resources, so that will help all of you on your journey to help deter those stereotypes and get those understandings back, and getting that curriculum back into our school systems, and getting it out and widespread so those stereotypes don't happen, and this visibility isn't a thing no more. Everybody knows what Dakota is, everybody knows what Native American is, people know what that is, and that's what our dream is, and that's why we're here as well, and that's why we're doing the school. But the visibility thing is still so true today, and so I have a current event to share with you. about the importance of this. And so this is just last week at the presidential elections. CNN was forecasting who was going to win, and they put an exit poll here. And so they said they broke it up in races. They said white, Latino, black, Asian, and then something else. And so Native Americans weren't even have that respect or the visibility to be a part of this exit poll. And I think that shares the lack of importance that we have in this election race. And, I'm not saying who to vote for here. I'm just trying to make the point. We do have a role in this, in these elections, and we do have a place, and we do have the ability to make change. And so, but it was kind of funny. Ariella, do you want to explain the response from Native America when we were called something else?
Yes, so Native America, that's what we like to follow, because that's who we follow. We follow a lot of influencers throughout the indigenous communities, and we like memes. And so a lot of memes were created because we are something else. And it was in a lot of indigenous communities, humor is everything to us. We can take obviously issues are very serious, but humor is healthy. It's what makes us healthy and happy. And they call this something else, but we're so much more. We're more than something else. Native peoples were the first ones here. We were obviously here from the get-go, and we were the last to get voting rights. And so, especially during such a big political time, to be not even recognized or even in the list as indigenous or native or something else, but like the other meme says, we are strong, resilient, and something else. But we are.
I loved it. It was so funny. Like like the movie Indian in the Cupboard, someone changed it to something else in the cupboard. And like they just went off, and our whole feed was just full of it. And, like it was so hilarious because again, yesterday I explained historical trauma that is embedded in our DNA. But again, that balance, we have that resiliency embedded in our DNA. And to us, we have been going through this visibility thing. People aren't recognizing or acknowledging us, who we are and what we are, or they're telling us what we are. But we take that and we use humor to be able to cope and keep going, because this super didn't kill my vibe. I'm super used to it, but let's take it and let's make it funny, but simultaneously let's take this seriously and let's keep doing stuff so that this doesn't happen again. So it was hilarious, but then again, now this is why we're here, so this doesn't happen again. So that was quite well. And there's things happening in the back end. So I think the caucus for American Indians wrote a petition or wrote a letter to CNN just explaining to them what the effects of this has, because they might not know either, because we do know that education is out there. So we're going to continue because we are something else. And so I wanted to show the effects that we actually did have on the election. So I have a map here of Minnesota. The left is the map we were looking at yesterday, and the map we were showing where we were live. This is the 11 federally recognized tribes in Minnesota. The 7 up north are the Ojibwe, and the 4 down south are Dakota. And then on the right, I put precinct data for the 2020 presidential election. And again, I'm not saying who we should be voting for in this. I just want to make a point to show you can see right there. This is Red Lake. And what percentage of turnout did they have, Ariella?
Yeah, Red Lake had 92.8% turnout in this year's election. So
you can see Red Lake there, Boys Fort right there, Grand Portage is right there, Leech Lake right there, White Earth there, Fond du Lac right there, and then Mille Lacs is right here. And then Shakopee, this was just right at the edge here. Prairie Island, they're right there, so they made it a little lighter. Upper Sioux is right here. That's that little spot right there. And then Lower Sioux is right there. And as you can see, that little blue area, that is exactly where I live on the Lower Sioux. So it was kind of exciting. Again, not saying who to vote for, but as you can see, what the difference that made from just living right there. I felt like my vote mattered and like I changed the color. And so I am something else. I made the difference here. And I think it was Indian Country Today, which is a newspaper that's online and in print. They said that in a lot of swing states, we made a lot of big difference. And so for the Navajo Nation in Arizona, 76,000 in the Navajo Nation voted. 74,000 voted for Biden, 2,000 voted for Trump. And the margin of winning at the time was 40,000. So the Navajo Nation absolutely was something else. And they absolutely made a big difference. Not saying who to vote for, but they do. The Native vote does matter. So I think we should be considered not just one little mixed group thrown in together, because we have this ability to make this change here. So I'd like to show that. I'd like to see that data. All right, so we're moving forward for the visibility view. It just got me excited because you can see what it was. Okay, resources. All right, so for Dakota Iapi, I have a couple of these here. I put Chanshayapi Wakanisha Oyawa OT, that's our school here, the Lower Sioux Early Head Start and Head Start. Ours is www.lscu.com, and our Facebook's Lower Sioux Early Head Start and Head Start. And so I'm going to exit here so we can take a look. So right here, can you see that, Ariella?
Yes, I can.
Okay, cool. This is our website. I'm going to just go to the, oh, this is our webinar. And so it says our mission, center-based, home-based, effective families, learn Dakota language online, enroll in our online courses today. So we are going to be launching online module courses. So if you click this link and put your email on there, as soon as those are ready, it'll email out to you. News and events, we always have awesome news. We just did an awesome Halloween parade. And then if you go right on the top and you're looking for Dakota language, you just go right here, Dakota Iapi resources. And then we have resources here. Our goal is to create this as a Dakota Iapi, Dakota language repository. So we have some awesome learning videos here for our students and our families and anybody, for our whole community. Yes, we changed Baby Shark in Dakota, Bebina Shark. So if you want to play that forever in your homes, you have that ability. Eating the alphabet, counting to Dakota 1 to 25. We even did some Dakota language yoga, Good Night Moon in Dakota, so we read some books. We have Ariella's son Marcus here speaking Dakota for you. Then we have our teachers reading Brown Bear, Brown Bear. And then we're reading the books that we wrote, and then the Ocheti Shakoi that we discussed yesterday. That will walk you right through those. And then there's a couple of additional learning videos and lesson plans. So if you click there, view the shapes, there's like a printout that you can download the PDF, and it's of all the shapes in Dakota. So I will go back. So that is that learning videos tab right here. Again, at lsu.com, Dakota Iapi resources. And then we put a bunch of books. We're going to be adding more books that we think are helpful for learning Dakota. We have some dictionaries here, 550 verbs. Our teacher at the University of Minnesota, Chante Maza, he wrote that, and he's actually writing another one with more verbs. So it's really cool to break down conjugation on what those type of verbs are. Beginning Dakota, 24 language. I wanted to, if you go right here for these, if you click them, it'll go to the store so that you can purchase it right away. But I'm going to go to the Beginning Dakota site for you next, so that can show you. It's a book, but also it has all of these recordings with it. So that's pretty exciting. Dakota Iapi Okoda Kichie, they have some really good textbooks. They have level 1, and I believe they made level 2 already. Dakota Prisoner of War letters, these are all letters that were written in Dakota and translated in English to share some historical backgrounds. And then, let's see, yes, the Eli Taylor narratives are really great in learning Dakota on folks' journey. And then, of course, we have apps. We wrote a book called Keep the Wo, Keep the Ye with my co-teacher, Ryan Dixon, and I. If you have an iPad, it's completely free to download, and it will actually read the book to you. Otherwise, on that learning video here, we have it reading to you as well in Dakota. So either way, you have that option. Think Small. Ariella, do you want to touch on what Think Small is?
Yeah, so Think Small is a texting program based out of Minneapolis. I was actually on a webinar with somebody and she contacted me and said, hey, what do you think about these? And I said, how can we get Dakota language into these? Like, how can we start getting that language out that's easily? And Think Small is actually 3 texts a week, Monday, Wednesday, Friday. You enter your child's birthday and you just get really good facts, tips, and growth every week on how you can help your child develop according to their age. So it's all age appropriate. And then every Tuesday, a Dakota text comes out and we do a video with it. And it's just a really great way to get the language out there. And we have about 90 families signed up. So anybody in the state of Minnesota can sign up for it. It's for ages 0 to 5.
Awesome. P. Damaya. And then we have these websites. I'm going to just open my tab right there because I'm going to show you that one next. All these websites that we use so much to learn Dakota language because, of course, we can't always be together with the pandemic, but also with the state of the language and how small of speakers we have and teachers we have. So we're always trying to create more teachers, get people speaking as much. So if you know a Dakota word, please share it with 5 to 10 people, and those people will share it. And then pretty soon we're all speaking Dakota. Okay, let's go to the next resource. It's this Beginning Dakota. And so this is the book. You can purchase it. And again, you can go to lsu.com, go right here, Beginning Dakota, and it'll open up on Amazon for you. But it also has it in different lessons here. And you can listen to those lessons.
Yeah, you just have to keep scrolling down. It's down at the bottom. There you go.
Lesson one. There you go. And then when you click it, well, my IT doesn't want me to click it. That's funny. But usually they'll speak it for you, and they have Clifford Chanku speaking it, who I think he's from Sisseton. That's where I met him. He's a really great guy. He's the one who wrote this. And then we have an elder who has since passed, Sandy Gishik. She is voicing over here. So I always like to listen to this, to listen to Sandy speak Dakota here. And so they have all of these lessons here, and it's super helpful. Our staff have used it, and it's really great. And when you purchase the book with it, it'll explain like the different nuances of the language, such as like when we speak, it goes into a downhill staircase. So it's like Doked ya onha, how are you? Doked ya onha. It's not like Doked ya onha. It's Doked ya onha. Doked ya onha. So that this book explains that really well for first-time learners, and so I really do love this book here. Okay. The next one I wanted to share is a YouTube resource, and so this is Sisseton, and they are AAIA language program. So they have this really great list of words, phrases. They have children phrases to say, teacher phrases to say for the men, teacher phrases to say for the women, children words. It has children's songs, and they have stories such as like going fishing or growing a seed. So, and going skiing. So this is a huge resource. Histon has been doing this for many years. I shared this with our local school district's elementary music teacher, and since then she's just taken this, and now we have not just our Dakota students, but every student knows how to sing "Twinkle Twinkle Little Star" in Dakota. So I thought that was really awesome. Just play a little bit. They always have this awesome intro. We talk he jistina ni taku he epeye. Makbea he tia we akbayena. We talk he jistina ni taku he epeye. So they have the words right up there for you to follow along, and they have someone saying it. So it's a really good way to learn the song and the rhythm. And when we learn songs, that's when we really learn languages, is what folks know. And especially for early childhood, songs. That's where the kids are really going to pick it up. If you see in the top right corner, Santa Claus is coming to town. That one stays in my head so much. So you can learn that one too, but I won't play it because it's still November. It's not that season yet. So we will keep going here. They also have Sistin Wapitin or Sisituach Betuan Oyate Dakota Language Institute. That's the same folks who have that YouTube that I just showed you. Their website here, they also have Mazopia, which is shop. They have books, CDs, children's books, dictionaries, flashcards, games, greeting cards, online learning, and other cool stuff, and posters that you can buy for your classrooms or for your families or for your home. I think we bought all of their stuff and have it here at the school. It's very helpful. That's a really awesome resource. Okay, and then Dakota Iapo, Speak Dakota Level 1 textbook. So I threw that up right here. So let's grab that.
Oh my God. Okay.
So this one was made by Dakota Yapi Akoda Kichie, the Dakota Language Society. And this book is really great because it has a teacher version as well as a student version. So it'll really walk you through how to do the lesson plan with it. It was developed by a teacher at the U, along with some of my peers at the U, and they're all teachers and linguists, and they're absolutely amazing. And so that's Dakota Ia Wohadakapo, Speak Dakota Level 1 textbook. Okie. And then this is just a nice piece of like the why again. I always like to keep bringing up the why and along with when we intertwine with all of these resources of what to do. Why are we doing this? What is important about it? I know we talked about it for visibility. Here are some statistics for you from Illuminative. And so that's the next resource we'll talk about, but we'll go through this first. So Native American characters range from 0 to 0.4%. So again, we're not even being shown for primetime television and popular films. So I think that inclusion is really important. So then we can see ourselves in media. And so I think a lot of folks who are out there are trying to create shows and trying to create movies and trying to create scripts and videos out there so that when these kids, these Dakota kids or these Native kids go on media, they'll see themselves and they can say, hey, I can be that. Or, hey, yeah, we are a thing. 78% of Americans want to learn more about Native people, their history, cultures, and contemporary stories. Yes, I think that's why you all are here. So I'm very excited about that, and I'm really hopeful to continue sharing these resources, but also with the understanding of there's not that much out there because of that historical trauma. And so we are pushing, pushing, pushing to keep growing it. And anything that you can do to help is welcomed and thanked and grateful. So 72% believe it is necessary to make significant changes to school curriculum on Native American history and culture. Yes. We recently, in 2012, had the Minnesota state standards changed where you had to add more history standards. And now we're seeing that being added for science and math. So that's really exciting that those are put in the standards. So like the schools have to implement this. And so I have a couple awesome folks who have created curriculum just for that, if you're looking for that too. So this is exciting. And then most Americans feel that what they learned or are teaching in school about Native culture is inaccurate, and they strongly support the need for curriculum change. Yes, we will get into Illuminative. They made some really great curriculum. So I'm really pumped to explain that to you. People often express disappointment or anger that they were taught was so sparse or misleading. I think so, absolutely. When I got to college and I took American Indian courses, there was some of my peers who were like, I've never heard this. I always thought this. And they were just so angry why it took them to get into college to learn these things. And they said, if I would have known, it would have been different. So I think that's why, one of the really big reasons why I'm in the field of education, so that I can keep spreading education to keep teaching. 87% of state level history standards fail to cover Native people history in a post 1900 context. Yes, they're always talking about us like pre-colonization. What about after 1900? What did we do then? And so that's why we have some awesome World War I statistics that we showed you today. We explained the relocation, that adoption movement. And so that was just as close to the 1970s, 1960s. So I'm really hopeful to continue pushing history past that 1900s, because there's a way and a reason why we got here today, and why I'm not living in a teepee and wearing this. So very pumped about those teachings as well. Okay, resources. Ariella, I'm going to move to the Illuminative website. Do you want to go through that? Okay.
Sure. So Illuminatives, as you can see on their tab bar, you can see a lot of really current issues that Native America is facing, as well as get some education on it, just to learn about what's happening. Like they have Indigenous Peoples Day 2020. Go to the Native Education for All. The change of the name, of course, the Washington Redskins. That was a huge movement earlier this year that finally got pushed through. But there's a lot of still Native mascots out there. Let it load. But on here, once you do click that, it just has so much good information, and it's for educators. It's for educators to come and use so they can implement it within their own classrooms. This was one about Indigenous Peoples Day lesson plan. Indigenous Peoples Day was the last month. So every October, really make sure to look for that. And then to amplify voices. So I'm pretty sure on there you can click on them, and then they'll give you like their own little bio of how they help change history or what they're doing today to really help the Native movement. And then all throughout it has grades. It tells you which grades it can apply to. So grades pre-K through 12, and there's just so many different subjects if you scroll through that. Grades 3 to 5, grades 6 to 8. It tells you where the games or the information comes from. I think it has all types of different tribes, from Dakota to Dene to some Ho-Chunk. So lots of really, really good information, and it's all printable. They have the lesson plans done for you. So all you really have to do is follow through it, and you can implement and change it however you want. This is more information about becoming visible. Even a video about first contact. So of course, Columbus Day is not Columbus Day. We celebrate Indigenous Peoples Day. And so to really just acknowledge that even within the school, I remember growing up in high school, middle school, high school, and it was always Columbus Day. So um, it's nice to see the recognition now for Indigenous peoples. Lots of reclaiming stuff. And then there's some other links on there. So Dakota Wichoha on the bottom there, that's actually a, what are they?
Nonprofit in Morton, Minnesota.
I couldn't think of the words. So they're actually based close to our reservation here in Morton, Minnesota. A lot of really good information, programming, curriculum as well. National Indigenous Women's Resource Center, that just has a lot of information for the nation, whether it's basic education as far as missing murdered Indigenous women. So it covers a lot of really topics that affect Indigenous women today. Oh, and then if you are a podcast listener, I came across this podcast last year. It's amazing if you just want to listen to some Indigenous input on different topics that are really important to us, such as just the kinship itself. So all my relations, relatives, to blood quantum, to renaming the mascot, to food sovereignty. Such good conversation. It's such a good listen. So I really encourage everybody to go check it out. And then if you are in the metro area, there is the Minneapolis American Indian Center. It's on Franklin Ave, right in Minneapolis. That whole block kind of has a lot of Indigenous celebration. And so they have a cafe there, a gatherings cafe, a gallery, and Woodland Crafts gift shop, which actually one of my favorite powwow vendors owns. His name is Charlie, so definitely go check him out. If you want to buy some Indigenous artwork and beadwork, that is the place to go. They also have a lot of really, really good programs going on for youth and seniors and everybody in between, from the LifeNet to family services, fitness and nutrition. They even do a little bit of language there. So lots of really good stuff right there in Minneapolis.
Absolutely. Perfect. Yes, I really love that podcast too. So I'm really going to keep pushing that. Oh,
Yes.
it's so interesting. Yeah, they really broke down blood quantum from how does that affect us politically? What does that policy look like? And then they did another podcast. How does that affect our love life? This one document, and how does that actually embed in us and affect who we choose as a partner? I think that's really crazy. I've never thought of it like that. I've only thought of it with the policy piece. And so I love this podcast very much so. Best practices for early childhood. These are some awesome books that we have. We don't have, folks have created. Our center supervisor, Brittany Nelson, shout out to Brittany, put these together for us. And we will be putting this on our website as well. So we have Grasshopper Girl. This is actually made by Terry Peterson, written. She's from Upper Sioux, Dr. Terry Peterson, I should say, because she got a doctorate. Look at her go. Ooh. She wrote Grasshopper Girl. And so these are from Indigenous writers. These are culturally relevant early childhood books. So we are all related. Again, that Midakwi Owasi we talked about yesterday. This book will do it because I can't stress enough literacy and books and reading to not just Native students and Dakota students, but all students, to show them this is the diversity of the world we're in, and explaining those to them. So we have Keep the Woe, Keep the Yay we went over. My co-teacher and I, Ryan Dixon, wrote that. Bow Wow Powwow, that's by Brenda Child. Ariella just absolutely loves this book.
I do.
Cradle Me talks about the cradle board, and then We Are Water Protectors, talks about that social justice, and then Fry Bread it talks about the story of the fry bread, and that's something that isn't a traditional food for us, fry bread. It's more of a resiliency food. So we can definitely get into that too. If you guys want to know, put it on the Q&A and we'll go over that. So these are some books we'll be putting out on the website. And again, this will be recorded so you can take these books and purchase them for your classrooms or for wherever you are. Tiwahe structure, again, this is what we think of when we're working with the Oyate, and that Midakuye Wasi is that kinship foundation is one of the biggest foundations we follow for Dakota people. So that means we're all related, and that means we treat everybody as if they're our kinship. So anybody who's my mom's age, I would call them Tui, my aunt, and then I would treat them with that respect. And again, anybody my dad's age, I'd talk to them and say Dakshi, and I'd give them that respect. You know, we believe that we are related to the trees, the Eon. The Eon we call Tunkashira when we're in one of our ceremonies, the Anipi, the sweat lodge, because that's what we call our ancestors, our grandfathers. And so we really believe that we're related to everything and everyone. And so we want to treat each other with that respect in those roles. And so that we are having that reciprocity is a really big symbol. So when we have tobacco, or we call it chashasha here, we're going to go fishing. We put some chashasha down because we're going to take something. So let us give that offering and that thanks. If we're going to be hunting, then we'll put that down. Or if we're going to pick sage, we'll put some chashasha, that tobacco, down before we pick it, because that reciprocity again and that balance. So that's something really important that I wanted to mention today when going through these best practices again. Areas of language assessment. If you are in an immersion program, this is the stuff for you. These are ANA, the Administration of Native American. They have some really great resources on their website. And so this is what we look for at CWU. And so for children, birth to 5, they're going to understand the language first before they're going to be able to reproduce it, before they're going to be able to write or read it. And so I'm going to be able to know what a speaker is saying before I'm going to be able to actually produce the words out there. And so we have some fun activities and games that we do with our staff, with our children, and with our families that we really want to show that. So, of course, you can only understand the language before you can speak it. So for our birth to 3, we only assess based off of their listening skills. So if I say, tapamak oo, and the child goes and grabs me a ball, that means they know the language. But by no means do I think this birth to 3-year-old can say tapamak oo. So that's really in the 3 to 5 age when they're able to speak it and express themselves in the language. So we even have like little ones who trip somebody and they go, oh, she chaya, which means like, oh, that's too bad. So those are some of the things and the expressions that we're looking at for the talking. And so for birth to 5, we do not recommend reading or writing, assessing them on that, because again, they have to understand to talk to even be able to read or write. Next piece, this is vocabulary size and proficiency guide. So children typically do not say their first words until around 12 months of age. The visual is intended to be a guide for language revitalization programs, working with young children to assess language acquisition, so able to speak it in different ages and stages. So 18 months to 2 years old, so they're able to say basic 10 to 20 words, intermediate 20 to 30, and advanced 50 plus words. And then 2 years, and then it goes to 3 to 4, and then it goes to 5 to 7. So this is why we do first the listening, they're able to comprehend what we're saying, and then we're going to assess what they're able to say. And so with this, that doesn't mean you don't need to be speaking language with the children. You need to immerse them right in the language. So people learn best when we are surrounded by the language. They don't hear any English and don't have the language translated to us. And so we're just immersed into it, and I have a ball and I go, tapamak oo. Or like if I drop it, oh, Yushna, Bahi. Oh, Yushna. So TPR, using a lot of movements, is something we recommend. Repeat, 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 repeat the language. I think someone said you have to say it like 35 to 38 times before someone's going to get it. So just speak, 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 and don't be afraid to speak the language. The big thing is the teacher's impatience with the learner and the learner's impatience with himself or herself are the greatest obstacles to adult language learning. So just keep speaking the language as much as you can. So that is our thing. We know research says children in the womb can differentiate between different languages that are being spoken to them. So speak the language prenatal all the way to whatever age. Okay.
Vanessa, should we open up to Q&A?
Yep.
Since we don't.
This is the greatest time. I saw that. All right. So Kalahena, we are good to start our Q&A.
All right, thank you. So if anyone would like to ask a question, please raise your hand and I'll call on you, or you may put it in the chat. Okay, we have a comment. We have these ladies are awesome. I love their energy. Another question is, please say more about fry bread when it works best for you. And someone else also said, could you talk more about fry bread? And so we have three requests about fry bread.
Fry bread. All right.
Let's get into it. Okay, fry bread. Ariella, do you want to take the fry bread or would you like me to?
I'll take it. So fry bread, and correct me if I'm wrong, Vanessa. It is what we were able to create. It's really simple ingredients. It's flour, salt, baking soda, and sugar. At least that's how I was taught to learn it. I learned from my tui. I learned from my auntie how to make fry bread. It's literally that. It's fried bread. But we were able to create this because those items don't easily spoil or go bad. Because when we would get our foods from the government that was promised to us, a lot of the foods were rotten and inedible. So we were able to create fry bread out of it. And it's super delicious. You can put literally anything on it. If you ever go to Wachipi, if you ever go to a powwow, there's Indian tacos. You can make fry burgers. You can make fry pizza. For breakfast, lunch, dinner, put some jelly, put some butter and honey on it. It's just a universal food that is really, really popularized in indigenous communities.
It's so good.
It's so good.
But again, it's like a resiliency food, we call it, because that was all we were given. And from there, we created fry bread. And now it's become a staple. Don't eat it for breakfast, lunch, and dinner. Oh my gosh, our dietitian Stacy would not want us to say that. It's not that healthy. We always had healthy systems. We ate wild rice, wojapi, which is like a berry pudding, which we just took berries and we condensed it down into this pudding like. So that's really good. We eat that with fried bread too. Oh, and then there's a lot of traditional medicines. So Linda Black Elk, if you follow her on social media, she is a wonderful ethnobotanist. She's really bringing back our indigenous medicines and our food sovereignty pieces. And so Stacy Hammer from our community health, she's the director and our dietitian there. She is, remember, reclaiming and reconnecting with our food system. That was fry bread. Is there another question? I love you.
Great, thank you. We have some comments. Thank you all for the wonderful resources. I look forward to exploring them. Thank you for sharing more about fry bread. Now I'm hungry. Um, so, two comments. Any other questions?
Yeah, I'm definitely going to be baking fry bread this week now.
Mm-hmm. I just put on these do's and don'ts here, and that's right from Illuminative. That's really exciting. One thing is if you have a student in there, don't expect them to know their language, don't expect them to know their culture. Again, because we had those systematic ways, but allow them to share with themselves. If they want to come in their Wachipi outfit, let them come, because that's the greatest way of diversity changing and training is with your peers. Great. Any other questions?
We have another comment. Thank you so much. It looks like Mali of Denali is on the is on the do list. Do you feel this is appropriate representation?
I think so. I think that not from Denali, of course, they're not representation of Dakota, but really of the tribes up in Alaska. And so this Illuminative is all native run. I actually went to a summer camp and horse camp with the woman who is the executive director. So I really do appreciate all the research she's put in when she does put these out in these lists. So anything Illuminative is always researched behind.
Great, thank you. If in the future anybody has any questions, are they able to reach out to both of you?
Yes.
Yeah.
Most definitely.
I don't have my contact info here. You can email us. You can call us, lscu.com. We have our phone number, 507-697-8255. I'm Vanessa Cesariela. Otherwise, lscu.com. If you have questions, you can just type it in, and then it gets sent to us, so then we can email you back. Otherwise, our emails are really easy. It's just our names, vanessa.goodthunder@lowersioux.com. Ariella is ariella.leaf@lowersioux.com. So yeah, that'd be awesome.
Yeah, please reach out if you have any additional questions or want to connect in any way to help your own curriculum or ways of teaching.
Great, thank you. We got one more comment. You ladies are so awesome. Thank you. And then the heart emoji. So thank you both again. We definitely really appreciate you sharing your culture, sharing your language, and answering our questions. This has been absolutely wonderful. And so in the interest of time, we'll go ahead and close out. Thank you both again.
Yes, Pidamaya Yapi, everybody, for joining in and listening.
Pidamaya Yapi. All right, well, Dokstake.
Doshkake.